Hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Morning Metro. It is July 2nd, 2021, and I'm here with my friend Cappy as always. So hello, Cappy. Welcome.
Hello.
By the way, really quick little thing I think you'd appreciate. One of my friends who likes listening to our show said that he was enjoying last week's episode and said that
Oh, that's good.
he said that the Morning Metro is very chill. And
Yeah.
I thought that was very cool that it's a very chill show and we get to basically, we're in control of what we get to talk about because we all know we can't really control what we hear in the news. So we're going to try to, bring some sanity and just, a regular good old talk show that's calm and whatever. So this is weird. I have to look at this screen. For those of you who are listening via audio, I have to look at this one monitor, and Cappy's actually on a different monitor. But for sake of OBS capturing and stuff and how he views me, there's like basically two cameras looking at me so that he sees me and stream sees me, and it's very like, yeah, it's very interesting all together. But yeah, so I guess start things off. Cappy, how are you? How's your day, morning, whatever? I know it's not really the morning anymore, obviously. I mean, it's funny. It's called the Morning Metro, but then I posted it like a really bizarre time. But I guess whenever you listen to it, it could be morning. I guess it could be. But how are you?
Doing good, just chilling out, checking out Windows 11 Insider Preview. So,
Yes, actually, that would be a really good way to start off. Start off our subject a little bit. But I'm doing all right. I'm sleepy. I slept in late as kind of the usual. I'm not a morning person. It's funny. I have I have a show called The Morning Metro, and I'm not a morning person.
yeah, I slept in until 9 today, so I've been up for a few hours now, just messing around with Windows 11, and
Yeah, yeah.
that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so I guess we're gonna jump in. So you installed Windows 11 after having an hour-long discussion about it last week, and I was kind of like I was thinking. So I've always had this thought about like user interfaces and kind of the pros and cons and things that I've ran into, but I guess after having Windows 11 for the first like 24 hours or so, like from a user interface, which is what we're kind of talking a little bit today, although we could always go somewhere else depending on how things go. How does it feel? Like, how does it look and feel, honestly?
So I was talking in your Discord with another person, and I mentioned to you last night that to me it feels like an Ubuntu interface.
Mm.
I've used Ubuntu and
Oh,
Pop!
Ubuntu.
OS,
Ubuntu is so fun. I also like
and
Debian that's a great one.
yeah,
Super easy.
and to me it feels akin to like an Ubuntu interface rather than like a Windows interface, like a traditional Windows interface where you have the start menu in the lower
Mm.
left-hand corner, and then all your apps and other things like that. Now, I
Yeah.
moved mine to the left because that's just
Yeah, I
muscle
mean,
memory for me.
yeah, exactly. And that's something
And
that's something I want to quick like touch on because familiarity in UIs is always like a plus and stuff. And
yeah,
when I was watching the video from Linus about the start menu being in the middle, I was like, "Oh no, you're not trying to look like," cuz I was like, "This is like Apple. Like are they trying to go the Apple route? Like
um,
I don't want to
yes,
change."
yes and no. Unlike Apple, where it's stuck down in the middle and there is no start menu,
Yeah.
uh, Windows obviously has a start menu, but they changed it a lot around where you have to click on the start menu and then click in the upper right hand
Oh
corner,
my
all
gosh.
apps. But that's one thing I really had to get used to.
Mhm.
The other thing that I really liked about it is that let's say you just install a random program that runs in the background and you only need it a few times, you can
Mhm.
actually pin it to the start menu, so to speak, and then you
Oh,
can just scroll up or down and it'll be right there.
interesting. Yeah, cuz you
So
know,
that's one thing I like about Windows 11 and
that's
that
good.
user interface,
That's good.
especially for like educational or enterprise people who work in that
Mm-hmm.
aspect of where they have like SCCM clients or software center. You can just pin it right directly there, and users just
Yeah.
have to click on that and then off to the
Yeah.
races. So
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
I
because
like it.
yeah, because like my taskbar is, being a content creator, you've got a lot of stuff. Also, for some reason, the Minecraft game itself, like I have to pin the launcher to the taskbar because like I can't seem to find it any other way. And subsequently, the Minecraft application still runs in my roaming.minecraft, and I've actually held on to this same folder for like some of these files. There's one file in here that says like it goes back to 2015, so I've had this install of Minecraft since then, which is a
Yeah.
really long time. But I like familiarity in interfaces. I don't adapt well when something changes. And like for example, if I went to my Note from my Note 4 to my Samsung S10e, and I had to relearn like some menus. And
Yeah.
and that's difficult because that's a lot of time spent trying to understand how the interface works. And there's certain companies that like ace doing interfaces. Like Apple has always seemed like they ace doing an interface like really super well. Their iPhones don't change. Apple computers never change. It seems like everything is where it should be. And then to realize that things like the start menu on Windows is going to a different part of the screen, I was like, crap. If I have to because then it's like, okay, so to make the Windows start menu go back to the left, you just keep adding icons and adding icons and adding icons. It just stretches a little bigger,
I mean, you could do that as well. I mean, if you have a lot of apps
I've got
that
enough
you use.
icons for it. It's definitely possible. Actually, I never counted how many icons. Let's see, that's a search, and then that's Cortana. And then that's the task queue. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 icons on my taskbar.
I hardly ever have any icons on my taskbar. Now, for my personal computer, for my work computer, I probably have about, I want to say 15 to 20.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Well, I have links for like all my websites that I need to go through.
Yeah, that's out of convenience, obviously.
Yeah.
I've always found it funny when people unlock their taskbar and it's like 2 icon stacks high. I've seen it. But what I find interesting, and going back to talking about like, Android interfaces. So my dad has an LG V20, and LG's interface is actually like I don't even feel like I'm using Android. That's how different it feels.
Yeah.
Because I go ahead and
sorry.
then well, I was gonna say was like, getting to settings menu and then finding, say if you were trying to find like a theme, just for the sake of argument here. My dad did something on his phone where the entire like user interface went to like this weird dark mode thing, and he's like, I have no idea how to change this back. And in Samsung's world of things, I actually don't know if I know how to get to this, if I can even do this while I'm sitting here. Not currently, I could find this, but somewhere in there's a way to change like the layout, like your home screen. And oh, that's what it's called. In Android, it's called home, or Samsung is called home screen. And you can change the home screen settings like really super easily, and there's no problem. Well, LG calls it themes, which I didn't know, and trying to find a way to revert it back like was impossible even with Google searching. So it's I kind of hate when they go on, when companies go on like these special snowflake, as I'll say, like interface changes. It's like, where is the darn menu?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what you're gonna say. Go ahead and jump in with whatever you're gonna say here, and I'll just listen.
LG is actually no longer making phones anymore.
Right. Yeah, I did
Yeah.
hear that. Yeah. Which sucks because anybody that has an LG phone, well, I guess you got to switch over now to something. But yeah, I just, you know, and also too, I mean, you know, the guys, my dad has had a stroke. For those of you who didn't know, he's had 2 of them, and quadruple bypass heart surgery and all that. And for somebody, you know, his brain's a little bit, you know, obviously different slightly, and understanding interfaces is difficult for him. And sometimes accessibility interfaces aren't like, I mean, he doesn't use any accessibility as far as I know, other than like the blue light filter. I guess some like app he downloads like a blue light filter, and there's something else too. But you know, I don't know what accessibility features it has and stuff, but you know, I feel like even if you've gone through something like that, your phone should still be able to stay understandable. And I kind of wish sometimes there was a way to like, it'd be really interesting if there was a way, if you turn on accessibility on any device or any computer, it would ask like, you know, okay, what do you have trouble with specifically, and just kind of target that particular thing. So for me, really quick, like I'm dyslexic, and if I played like Genshin Impact, the character names I can't read them, or the places I can't read them because I have trouble pronouncing it. So I feel like I'm missing out on getting attached to a character or a place because I can't read the names, and that's part of the storytelling of it. And so sometimes I wish there was a way that there would be like, you know, in any game or whatever, it says like, what do you deal with? And how can we, and then it just changes the game just slightly for, I don't know if you want to jump in with that, Cappy, but you know, just changes the interface or the experience for you.
No, I do agree with that because I work in the school district and we have a special education program. And we deal with all kinds of disabilities for students, autism, mental disabilities, learning disabilities, so on and so forth. And sometimes we do have to get special programs like on Apple devices, like a communication iPad, so on and so forth, for specific students, especially nonverbal autists. And that's one thing that's a prevalent issue. Like, I think when it comes to technology and user interfaces, I think we still have leaps and bounds that we could go through.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Especially with AI, I think that if we do like more advanced learning or
like behavioral learning stuff.
Yeah. And I really think that we're just on the cusp of like where accessibility can be specialized for each individual users.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
oh, go ahead. No, wait. No. You're on a train. I'm jumping ahead. I need to learn to listen. It's fine. You're on a train. Go ahead.
And there's specific fonts for people with dyslexic.
Yes, I have heard this. Yes.
And other things to that nature. But the problem is it's locked behind a paywall for like educational and stuff like that. And
see, there's something wrong with that. That's not okay.
And so forth.
Yeah.
And I agree.
I feel like, because, you know, it's not these people's faults that they have these, you know, particular needs. You know, and I actually, so to be a little bit more clear, like, I can read usually just fine. I have trouble reading sometimes if I'm like under pressure, or, you know, and to some degree, I guess a little bit streaming a game that has a hard name is like streaming under pressure because I don't have time to sit there to pronounce the name. And, you know, but generally I can read. But yeah, putting certain things like special text, or even special assistant programs, like that's not, you're making the accessibility worse. And it's really like, because everybody is capable of being competent in some way. And, you know, I understand that you know, as always, like, you know, it costs money to develop programs and things like that and stuff. However, you know, it'd be nice to do it through like a donationware. Like, for example, like Voice Me Your Potatoes donationware. So you can, if you want to donate something, you can. And And I feel like that's where things like that should be under some kind of donationware, where it's, you know, it's there. You can totally get it. You can contribute to the project, but at the end of the day, you shouldn't be serving yourself. It should be serving the person that has the accessibility need. Now, a good example that I think I've seen of we could talk about even some good examples of accessibility needs and stuff is, although I think I would definitely consider adding some stuff. The game Sea of Thieves has some really good accessibility stuff. It seems like they really care, the company Rare really cares about making sure that their game is playable by a lot of people. However, one of the things I think they could add is, this is kind of a case in point story. One of my server members in my community, he's legally blind, but he's partially blind. But he plays video games like exceptionally well, actually, for somebody that's partially blind. And we had to do some parkour stuff, and the lighting in the area that we were in made it very difficult for him to kind of keep up with us a little bit, which I felt bad about. Like, we're not trying to speed run the puzzle or the map or anything, but I thought to myself, you know, it would be nice if there was a way where like you can make like name tags bigger and brighter. Because what I ended up having to do was using a natural game element of the lantern that every pirate has. Excuse me. And I held the lantern out in front of me, and that was a big, bright object for him to follow. And as well as also some of the jumping like distances, there should have been a feature that's like, okay, if you have trouble with, you know, partially blindness. And again, this goes back to talking about like machine learning or some sort of thing where it's like, what accessibility do you deal with? Well, distance if you're partially blind, right? And I felt like it would have been nice if they could change the puzzle for just that person, where it's like that gap is like smaller, or you run just slightly faster, jump just a little bit slightly higher than normal physics and stuff. Now, I understand that could be obviously like abused, because the problem is you add accessibility, where's the balance with abusing it, at least in video games. In other cases, it doesn't really matter. These are just some of the things I've been thinking about, you know, because I'm an advocate for accessibility. I absolutely think that the world should be usable by everybody. Now, there's probably a lot of technologies out there I don't know about, unless there's some you've heard about yourself, Cappy. But I don't know. What do you think about some of this? Everything should just be easily accessible and stuff, and throw some stuff in.
I do agree with that as well. Like, I do think developers need to develop ways to give people more accessibility in games, like easier times or so on and so forth, or like say for example in Dark Souls 3, if you die too many times, they'll actually lower the difficulty or give you additional things, so on and so forth. I think they could do that too as well. Maybe make it like client based, where if you like, it gives you a questionnaire like, do you have a disability, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But I could also understand where a person with disabilities doesn't want to be treated special or anything.
No, I can understand that too. Yeah, like, definitely.
Like, I'm a disabled person myself too. I actually am on the autism spectrum, so on and so forth, which is one of the reasons why I'm good at like gaming, Magic the Gathering, computing, and so on and so forth, because it gives you, people with autism tend to have more capabilities if it's a straightforward kind of thing.
Right.
Like with gaming and so on and so forth, there's clear boundaries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
With Magic the Gathering, you have a list of rules, but it gives you a clear and defined list of rules.
Yeah.
But whereas like people with physical disabilities, that's a little bit more challenging, I would imagine. I'm not a person with physical disability, but you know, like visual disabilities or physical disabilities, like so on and so forth. I know that Microsoft released a
yes, I think I know what you're talking about.
Controller.
Yeah, is it
Like
is it
where
where you customize
yeah,
the interface? Yeah, where you customize. So
yeah.
for those of you who don't, to just give it a little bit more, it's where like it's individual controller parts and a special
Mhm.
board that it plugs into, and you can customize what control sets and stuff you have. Yeah, I thought that was really cool, and I like I'm not disabled, but even I would want that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, me too.
That looks really fun to use.
Like I could see a lot of things I could
You
do
could
with
do
that.
so much with it,
Yeah,
even if it was like open source. Imagine the possibilities.
yeah, exactly. But
Anyway, yeah, so go on.
anyway, um, I just think there's a lot of things we can do with tech wise when it comes to that,
Hmm.
and it's still in its infancy and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Well, it's
So
crazy. It's crazy that like that it's in its infancy because I feel like, you know, disabilities are obviously they're centuries old. Like it's not a new thing. And technology has been around for oh Lord since the first like Microsoft computer. Like it's you know, I feel like
yeah,
it's unless it's just more of the advocacy for accessibility, maybe that's where it's, you know, um
I think it's partially both. Now we've improved leaps and bounds from like
oh
20
yeah.
years ago. Like in
Mhm.
the early 90s, not much was known about mental disabilities, but
Yeah.
come like the early 2000s and like I want to say in the past 21 years, we've
Mhm.
discovered more about autism and learning disabilities, so
Yeah.
on and so forth, because
Mhm.
we've actually put research into it.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
but I mean, physical disabilities that's kind of hard to really cater to because
Mhm. Everybody's unique. Everybody's experiences are
yeah,
unique. Yeah.
and same goes with mental disabilities. Like
Mhm.
I'm a high functioning autism. I'm a high functioning autist.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to say like, okay, you know, I'm different compared to one of my friends who also has autism. In fact, most of my friends actually have autism.
Oh wow.
Um, because we're all unique in our own perspective. Like
Definitely.
I'm good at showing compassion and understanding, whereas my good friend, who I went to college with, and stuff like that, has a hard time understanding that.
Yeah.
Whereas the next person just doesn't understand it at all,
Yeah,
like social
definitely.
cues, physical cues,
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
I being dyslexic and it's funny, it's interesting and I don't care if we even stay on subject or not. I think this is just interesting.
Yeah,
Just I don't care if we're kind of doing this as like for those of you know we're kind of changing the morning metro a little bit to just be like more like talk show based stuff a little bit. I mean we can definitely cover articles obviously, but I just wanted to like
yeah,
kind of talk about this in general because I've always wanted to make a video about this, but I felt like there are certain things that are just better in just a live discussionary format rather than in a pre-recorded stuff. So, you know, I so me being dyslexic, social cues are huge. I feel like are really difficult to pick up, especially online. In fact, actually, I want to finish listening to this. I was listening to the Art of Manly podcast a little bit last night, and it was talking about partially. It was talking about how to communicate through text in a digital age. And I, you know, like for example, there was a story where this guy was texting his girlfriend, and uh, he said something, and she goes, I guess so. Are we through? And he's like, I guess so. Well, she thought that they were through in their relationship until he showed up the next day at her door, and he goes, "So are we good? Are we good to go on our date?" She's like, "I thought we were through." Yes, and he's like, "Yeah, I thought we were through with our argument." And she's just like, "Oh." Like ouch. But I say this with social cues and stuff because it's just something that I have difficulty dealing with, but for tasking things, and I've had like I you know being dyslexic, I look at like computers and stuff very differently. I can usually I don't generally have to read a manual. I can usually just go at it and immediately know how, like almost by osmosis somehow, or just some divine ability, be able to know how to use something. But then there's like certain edge cases where like the other day I had to change my Facebook password, and Facebook's interface has just gotten more and more horrible. Like I think we can all agree it's just pure hot garbage. And I was trying to figure out, where do you enable 2FA, or where do you enable, or where do you change your password? And I'm like, and I'm sitting there feeling kind of stupid because like I've gone through interfaces and just did not understand what I was looking at. And especially it gets more complicated when you're talking about software licensing. The licensing process with things is really difficult. Like I have a plugin that I use for FL Studio called the Fresh Air plugin, and it has to be, ordinarily you have to install this software called iLock, and then you have to have an iLock dongle to plug into your computer to authorize the software. Well, there's a way to do it through a cloud-based way of activating it. So I had to watch a tutorial because I just simply could not understand how to activate it. And I feel like when the user is pushed to having to do Google searching on how to use something, there's something wrong, even if it's not an accessibility issue. And just, that's a bad user experience as a whole.
No, I do agree. Like I'm I know we're getting a little bit off subject.
No, it's
like,
fine. I mean, this is what this is.
to...
No, this is what this show is for. Is to just meander like how we want. Like this is just to talk about stuff. It's good.
Like I like two-factor authentication, especially with physical keys. I actually have one set up myself and stuff like that because I'm a huge proprietor of like security matters first and foremost when it comes to an operating system. And I actually set up my own YubiKey years ago, and I've been using it ever since. But I just like that interface. Like you just plug something in and unlocks automatically and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just because I'm lazy and I don't want to enter anything.
Yeah. Go on. Yeah, go ahead.
But I enjoy like the concept of 2FA and two-factor authentication and so on and so forth. Like, it's just like I just like setting those things up, and I just enjoy it. So
yeah. So yeah, it's always interesting, but yeah, I would love to see things try to get better as far as like, I mean, there's definitely things that are getting better. The one thing that actually did annoy me a little bit when I was setting up for a stream today, or for the talk show and stream today, I don't know why, but for some reason, like OBS's idea of window cropping is also bad in my opinion, because it's like I'm trying to like shift it, and this goes again a little bit talking about UIs. I was trying to shift the window, and it's like I couldn't get it. My OCD is kicking in, and I couldn't get it exactly like the exact pixel that I wanted. And I was like, why can't I just crop in the application? Why do I have to crop it in the software? You know, like that would have been super nice with things. Or like, you know, it's, so I use a Stream Deck. I have two of them, because one, I'm super nerdy, and two, because I outgrew the 15 key. And actually I have a user interface problem. My microphone is blocking my Stream Deck, which is super annoying. So I'm actually gonna move it over so I can kind of like look at it and talk about it more. I have a user interface, and it's not even someone's fault. It's my fault. So, you know, Stream Deck is a really like powerful like macro key software, and there's been some cases where it's like, to change the feature of a Stream Deck, you have to like pick, I guess, which Stream Deck you want to edit. Then you have to pick which profile you want. And I had this idea, and I don't think Stream Deck's gonna do this. I would love if they did, but I had this idea of like, what if it showed both Stream Decks you had, and you just click the one you want, and then it just shows whatever profile you're in, and then there's just only one drop down for the profile switching, and then you would hit like escape, and it would go back to showing two Stream Decks. And editing that would be so much easier, but also too, you know, I'm used to a lot of like professional broadcast video switchers, and certain colors meant certain things. So like if a button is green, it's not live. It's red. If it's red, it is live. And so because I'm used to that broadcasting interface type thing, I actually went through and made my own custom interface that it clearly defines and tells me which scene I'm in. Like, for example, those of you listening by audio, I'm in what's called the mid scene, where it shows me and Cappy side by side. And so there's just like little conveniences, but I love like I would love to actually even see phones and computers that let you build out your own interface that's understandable to you.
Yeah,
That would
I do agree with that.
that would be
Like,
cool.
I think that would be amazing. Like, maybe, uh, I could see the difficulty of developing it though. Like,
Because you have to
it would
make
take lots of, yeah.
yeah, because you have to make someone has to make the UI and then someone else has to be able to play with it. Yeah, I could okay, I could see where that yeah, I could definitely see the drawbacks. But anyway, continue.
But like one thing about like people with autism and stuff like that, me personally, I get overwhelmed by a complicated UI and
Yeah,
so on
I
and
do
so
too a little bit.
forth.
It's like a sensory overload. I know what that feels like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's just difficult, like maintaining like the calmness and stuff like that for like everyday life and so on and so forth,
Mm-hmm.
because I
Mm-hmm.
have like anxiety, depression, ADHD,
Ugh.
autism. I'm in
Oh man.
danger.
Yeah, yeah, no,
and
definitely.
and it's just really hard to keep that balance of like calm and peace and happiness and
Right.
so on and so forth.
Things are
But
straightforward and to the point, basically.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
prime example at social cues, like the other day at work, I had one of my coworkers come up and I was asking him, like, we had a ball thread locker,
Uh-huh.
and I asked him, like, hey, where does this go?
Uh-huh.
Now he responded, where do the screws go? To you, what does that mean?
Uh he doesn't seem to understand that you don't know where a particular thing goes, I guess.
Like, do you think that was a question or a statement?
If I feel like that's kind of a question, but then I also feel like that's an insultatory like statement almost.
So to him, it was a statement like, put them with where the screws go. But to
Oh.
me, it was like, it was a question, where do the screws go?
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, like, are you stupid? Not
Yeah.
to insult him or anything. I'm
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah. No, for
what does
sure.
he mean? Like, where do the screws go? I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
I think also
Uh,
I think also another accessibility thing that I deal with is I have trouble with very loud noises. I will
Same
jump.
here.
I will jump. In fact, one time my mom said to me that when I was still like, you know, a baby and it hadn't been born yet, something happened where there was a loud like bang or pop and she felt me like jump in her belly. Like I've
Mhm.
like that's crazy that I was able to even pick that up. But what the reason why I say this is because there was a particular well there's been particular instances but this one in particular was very very apparent to me. I was playing Warframe and there was a scene where you get a radio transmission and there was a visual thing on the screen that now I don't have the and I forget what it's called. I don't have the thing where they see a certain amount of colors and they get a seizure, but I do deal with certain color patterns that do hurt my eyes. And furthermore, I'm very sensitive to certain frequencies. And as I went to go listen to that, the frequency that that scene had literally almost made me feel sick. Like I actually had to look away from the screen after that scene because it was so like visually like audibly terrible and visually too much. And you know, I understand that maybe like for the game developer, they're like, oh, that's not a big deal for us, you know, whatever. But for me, that was too much, you know, and I feel like sometimes some of these developers go into these things not thinking about how uh still some of these game developers may not always thinking about how the result is because they don't know who's going to be playing their game. And so it's always, you know, I feel like you should go into anything that someone's going to use and be like, how is this person going to react? You know?
No, and I do agree. Like with loud bangs and stuff like
Oh
that.
gosh, yeah.
I actually hate 4th of July. Like
Yeah, I can understand it. Yeah. The
I
fireworks
do
going
not
up.
like
Yeah.
fireworks. It
Yeah, I
gives me a
understand it.
panic attack every single time. Like
Oh.
it's just horrible.
Oh.
So I used to love fireworks like when I was younger and stuff
Oh
like that,
yeah.
but
Getting more
just
sensitive as you get
recently,
older.
like, yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
And it and crowded places like amusement parks, theaters,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that, I can't
Sensory
even go
overload is
to
a
anymore.
sensory overload is a very real thing. It's really
Yeah.
interesting. And like being in like Discord calls is Discord calls with over 15 people or whatever. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
not a user interface thing. That's just life in general. But
Yeah.
I know that like a lot of video games usually have a warning and be like this is going to be, this might affect some people who deal with whatever. But what if you don't deal with whatever, but you still have a sensory issue to things.
Yeah, exactly. But like when we were shopping for my desk at IKEA, I was just anxious. I just wanted to get in and out.
Oh wow.
But we had to get like several things for my sister and
Mm-hmm.
my parents who are redoing their kitchen, and I was just like, yeah, I need a place to be quiet, calm
Yeah.
down, and stuff
I
like
can't
that.
stand people sometimes. I'm gonna be super real. I guess to kind of help with the subject a bit, what is some good examples of good user interfaces that were like, this is excellent, like they nailed it? I think good to talk about like the positives of good things we've seen of user interfaces or just experiences in general.
I think personally Windows 10 had a really good user interface. Um, Mac OS, believe it or not, I think has a really intuitive interface.
Yeah,
In
I
my
definitely believe it.
personal
No, I
opinion,
believe it. I believe it. Yeah.
especially for people who are computer illiterate and or like a grandmother, grandfather, and stuff like that. It's just really a shame that the operating system is completely locked to their own ecosystem,
Yeah.
because I think if people could just load it up on any computer and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, I think it would be amazing. Because one thing Apple has really going for them is that they put research into it and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and they knew what was wrong with the Windows operating system, and Apple knew what was wrong with their operating system, and so on and so forth. Which is one of the reasons why I think Windows 11 is going to be a really good interface once they work out the kinks.
Interesting.
Um, like I'm enjoying it like a lot. Like I'm honestly surprised on how intuitive it is
You're
and
making
how
me want to
minimalistic
like,
it.
I wouldn't do it, but you're making me want to like just drop the insider build. I mean, obviously, I can't be dealing with edge bleeding edge stuff because of what I do.
Yeah.
But it'd be really, I don't know, or maybe I'll just throw up a VM or something and just run it inside that. I guess, just install Windows 10 unlicensed and then upgrade to Windows Insider or something. But
Well, I
um,
think you have to have a license for it, if I
what?
recall correctly, because it's
Oh
insider build.
no.
It's only available for people who purchased Windows 10. So
Oh man, that sucks. Um,
I mean, just buy a CD key off of like,
SCD key is a website you can
yeah,
get stuff from.
yeah.
Um, I think another really good one of user interfaces is, I guess, I've always felt like my Android phone, especially Samsung really nails it with user interfaces. Going from my Note 4 to my S10e, while was a slight learning curve, I learned it very quickly. And I was able to adapt. Like I know where most things are. And I love this. You can search for a setting. And now, granted, you could do that in Android 6, but like the search feature in Android 11 is super nice. Oh, Android 12, I'm excited about it because it's actually going to adapt the color scheme or whatever to whatever your like background and current setup is of your phone. Like there's so many new like really cool interface stuff that I'm just like, give it to me now. Like, this is so cool.
So you mean my phone that's currently one of my Magic the Gathering decks, Thraximundar, is going to be orange.
Yeah, no, it is. Like, that's what they're aiming for. But I really like the look and feel of how my Android phone, you know, feels and stuff as far as just as an interface is concerned. And yeah, I also like that I can put more like icons on the desktop, which is cool. I have a specific page so I can just look at my background, obviously. But
yeah, I'm actually looking at Windows 10 Pro keys right now, and
you mean Windows 11 Pro
Google
keys?
No, Windows 10, because Windows 11 hasn't released just yet.
Just yet.
But the cheapest one I found on CD Key is like $27.
That's not bad. I'll still wait for it to come up. You know, something actually I just think about, like good examples of user interfaces. The age old, I know it sounds crazy. The age old timeless guitar amp. I love that guitar amps are always easy most of the time, unless they're like a hybrid. Okay, so hybrid guitar amps actually kind of suck a little bit because I had a PV amp. I forget what its model was, but it was one of the ones where, like, well, one, it wouldn't remember some of the settings for some reason on the amp, but two, like, to try to figure out how you jump through certain certain settings was always awkward. But if it's just a straight up tube amp, I love like I love how it's just like volume and the treble, bass, and mid, and that's it, and maybe an overdrive channel, and that's it. Like, just it's like it's just, I know it sounds like the most simple thing, but I really love when it's just like, yes, instant satisfaction. Or like some guitar pedals have really good, like, simple, I mean, obviously they're supposed to be, because they're meant for performers. A performer doesn't have time to sit there and think about stuff. Actually, I hate to like bring up a bad example, but Boss Tone Studio, for their SY300 synthesizer pedal, is probably one of the most like clunky, unexplained, zero tutorial user interface I've ever seen. And I've wasted hours trying to figure out how to use it, and I still don't understand. And I've even like physically used it, and the dials and things that I think it should adjust or do, like there's certain certain presets that people have made. But the problem is there's no explanation video about how the preset is made. All there is just demo videos be like, yeah, man, here's this like awesome demo of like this thing. Oh, does it sound awesome? Like, yeah, man. And I'm just like, but how did you build it? Because I want to make it too. What if I want to change it? And then it's like, if you change something, you might break the entire effect altogether. Like, hello?
Yeah, exactly. But I would have to say the worst user interface that I've came across. Oh, wow, there's actually a lot.
There's a lot, yeah. It's not easy.
Lenovo, if you're going to listen to this, freaking change your MTSRA portal. Holy crap, that's one of the worst.
So worst
user interfaces.
So what is that? I don't even know what that is.
So it's basically for people who work in IT, like at an enterprise solution or an educational solution, where you enter in like what's wrong with the computer and send it back to Lenovo or like the manufacturer.
Okay.
Basically, it's a warranty claim portal.
Oh.
Holy crap!
My God.
It is so freaking clunky as all get out.
Oh, you said clunky warranty, and I was just like, oh yes, basically the classic and humble RMA form. Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. And it is such a headache to go through.
Yikes.
Like, it looks like something from the early 90s to 2000s. Like, update it, please.
Yeah.
But
I was trying to talk about like good interfaces, but I guess bad interfaces is cool too, since we can't think of a lot of good interfaces, which tells you there's really something wrong with this world.
Yeah, yeah. But no. Honestly, I think Windows 11 is on the right track. Microsoft's on the right track. But Apple, I absolutely love Apple for its easy interface for people who are computer illiterate and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Windows 10 or Windows is starting to catch up to Apple. I mean, to be perfectly honest, like I'm not trying to like say it's a copy when it's exactly not a copy. Like I mean it's still Windows at its core, what it's trying to do.
Yeah. What I'm actually hoping for is, and this is something I really wish Microsoft would be more attentive to, is how audio devices are handled, because they're actually garbage right now and it's terrible. So like and I don't know why Chrome does this. I don't know what is controlling this. I don't know if this is a Chrome thing or Windows thing. Something either in Chrome or Windows keeps turning up my line in input to 100% when I want it down to 80. And like if you do, like if an update installs on Windows, some audio device somewhere is actually going to get broken. Like I don't know how it happens, but it always does. And audio, especially for somebody who does like composing sound design like I do, dealing with like bit rates and like certain libraries or whatever, Windows or the application that runs in Windows just screams bloody murder. Like it's just I've had FL just crash because there was too much MIDI information, and I've had to bounce down stuff to smaller, like to just straight up waveforms, or I have a glitch right now where Voice Meter Potato likes to make a snapping glitch sound in my ear when all I'm doing is playing a video game and I'm not pegging anything at 100%. Like just these simple little things. Again, user experience. I wish was better. So I hope this will be not an issue. I also, side note, I don't like LinkedIn's settings about their menus are very confusing. Descriptions on user interfaces are bad. Like they're like I knew somebody who was trying to set up a LinkedIn and I was reading through the descriptions of it, and I sat there and even I had to sit there and think about what the wording of it was, like, you know, communications or like data collection or other stuff, and I'm sitting there thinking, what does that mean again in English, please?
Yeah.
You know? So I don't know. I don't have anything else. Like, I don't really have anything else to discuss about. I just thought it'd be a fun subject about, you know, talking about things that we've experienced. You know, Leo said in chat here that like UX and UI design is really annoying, both the designer and the developer and to users. Yeah, there's never going to be like one perfect interface because everybody thinks it's always going to be different or something or another. I don't know. I guess to try to end on positive, I guess it'd just be nice if there was more like case studies or more surveys taken from the users about how people want their interfaces to be built, you know, and getting a wide range. You know, we talked about a little bit earlier about, you know, asking the user at the start of a video game, hey, do you deal with anything? And if so, what is it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know unless there's anything else from chat that they want to discuss, but I'm kind of like, I don't know if I have anything else any other edge case examples or anything else we can throw into this, but oh man, those developers.
Yeah.
So, I guess I'll kind of bring this show to a close. I know I was trying to go for an hour, but ended up being 40 minutes, but I guess that's all right. Maybe next week I'm sure, again, this is just trying a new format and making things, you know, work and stuff, and we'll probably figure it out as we go. Maybe we'll throw in some articles next time to kind of help flesh out the things a bit here. But for those of you that are listening via audio, thank you. We appreciate you and we love you so much. And we'll be back hopefully next week. This is going to be hopefully a consistent thing. We're going to try to also get Gertron on here. There's a group message that we're both in, and I was like, what days can I get both of you in here? But then that also means, yes, but that also means I have to design a new scene, which means make a new user interface so that all three of us can fit in one thing. Thank you, Discord. Discord's actually terrible for video chatting. Like it's, yeah, oh gosh, I just broke a thing. Like I just clicked on Cappy's thing and then it like double stacked us. And if you have three people, it like does this weird, yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Anyway, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next week for episode of the Morning Metro. Also, real quick, I forgot to mention this, or before I forget to mention this, the Morning Metro does have an email. So if you want to send us things to talk about as like a discussionary thing, you can email us at themorningmetro@gmail.com. That's themorningmetro@gmail.com. And we look forward to maybe hearing something from you guys. Until then, have an awesome rest of your week. And for those of you that are on stream, stick around. We're going to play some video games and stuff and hang out. And yeah, so thank you, and we'll catch you all soon. Bye.